Yes, donkey today for Friday, October 11th goes to the former president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Oh, the mayonnaise is heavy with this one. Now, we are 25 days away from the presidential election, and if you notice, the candidates, Donald John Trump and Kamala Devi Harris, are spending a lot of time in the battleground states. 7 states usually decide the election. Those states are Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So over the next 25 days, you will see the candidates in those states a lot, especially Michigan and Pennsylvania, which is why I still don't understand why Tim Walz was picked over Josh Shapiro, but who cares? In life, you must play with the cards you've been dealt. Now, Donald Trump was campaigning in Michigan yesterday, and he was speaking to the Detroit Economic Club at the Motor City Casino, and he was doing what some would call rambling. But as he said on my guy Andrew Schultz's Flagrant 2 podcast, he was expressing his genius ability to weave. Can we hear him talk about his genius ability to weave first, Red?
You know, I do a thing called a weave. Yeah. And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I start a story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
A weave is only good if you come back
for that. It's true. You can go all the way over here and then get back.
I can go so far here or there. And I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
you're Biden.
Then you say, no, but the weave is the way.
Now, I played that because I want you to know the media calls what Trump does rambling. But as you can hear him explain, he's fully aware of what he's doing and what he's saying. So when we hear him say certain things, let's not believe he's just talking. Let's not believe he's just rambling. He means every word. So in Detroit, Trump was speaking at length about the threat he believes Vice President Kamala Harris poses to the U.S. if she wins, and he decided for whatever reason to just take his alleged pamper off and defecate all over Detroit. Let's go to CBS Detroit for the report, please.
Well, it's not every day that a presidential candidate comes to a city to diss the same city that he's standing in. That's exactly what the former president did this afternoon. Now, it's anyone's guess exactly how this will fare for him come November, but Detroiters have opinions.
The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president.
Disparaging remarks given by President Donald Trump on Wednesday at a campaign stop in the city has Detroiters up in arms. Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan tweeting, lots of cities should be like Detroit, and we did it all without Trump's help. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer also chimed in, saying, keep Detroit out of your mouth. And you better believe Detroiters won't forget this in November.
Detroit, what up, though? If America turns into Detroit, that would be great. I mean, that means we'd have soul, resilience. That's what the R on this hoodie I'm wearing stands for, resilience. Everybody who listens to us on WJLB in the beautiful Motor City, what's happening? Drop on the clues bombs for them, okay? Michigan is a crucial battleground state, so, Trump decided to come to Michigan and insult the largest city by both population and size in Michigan. And by the way, Detroit is considered to be on an upswing. You saw what the mayor tweeted out. They just read that on the news report. You heard what Big Gretch said. Big Gretch said Detroit is the epitome of grit, defined by winners willing to get their hands dirty to build up their city and create their community, something Donald Trump could never understand. So keep Detroit out your mouth. And you better believe Detroiters won't forget this in November. That's right. You got to come to the defense of your city. I don't understand why Trump would come to Michigan and insult the biggest city in Michigan. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I say I don't understand, like Trump, I'm basically a truthful person. Actually, I'm lying because I know exactly why he has no problem insulting Detroit, because Donald Trump knows that a lot of his supporters simply don't care about black people. Let's be clear about it. Vice President Kamala Harris is a woman of color, black and Indian. When Trump says the whole country is going to be like Detroit if she becomes president, he's telling folks that they need to fear America becoming too black. Not only will you have a black woman president, but Detroit used to be the blackest city in America. I believe it still is. If not, it's still very, 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 very black. I did some research, and by research, I mean I asked ChatGPT, and it said 78% of its population identifies as black. 78%. Okay, so Trump was telling all those folks there, if Vice President Kamala Harris becomes president, America will be very black. We got to stop calling these things racist dog whistles. Okay, these are white supremacist bullhorns at this point. If you don't see the play by now, then you don't want to see it. Okay, nobody plays in the white racial grievances like Donald Trump. Saying America is going to be like Detroit if Kamala Harris wins is just coded language that attracts racists. So please let Kathy Griffin give Donald Trump the biggest hee-haw.
Please give this giant jar of mayo the biggest hee-haw. Salute to everybody in Detroit. What up, Doe?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be there tonight in Detroit.
I'm going to be there Tuesday. I want to talk to Detroit for a second. I'm going to be in Detroit on Tuesday, and I would like for, some people from Detroit to join me as I sit down and have a conversation with our Vice President, Kamala Harris, okay? Yes, I'm going to have a conversation with the Vice President live on iHeartRadio. Our listeners are very passionate. Remember the brother Tone that called up the other day?
Yep.
And he had a lot of grievances, a lot of things he wanted to get off his chest. I want local voices from Detroit and voices from all the battleground states to get the opportunity to ask Vice President Kamala Harris some questions. I know we got some pressing issues to talk about. The future of the nation is decided by who we elect. So I want to tell Detroit and the whole country, don't miss an event. We are calling We the People, a conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris and myself, Charlamagne the God, this Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here. And when I mean right here, whatever station you are listening to me on in your market, you will hear the conversation Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Now, if you listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, there's a feature called Talkback. Use the Talkback mic and send me your questions right now. Right now, go to the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and send your questions for We the People, a conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris and myself, Charlamagne the God, happening Tuesday at 5 p.m. on iHeartRadio.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, thank you for that donkey today.
Absolutely.
Now, when we come back, Resma Minikim will be joining us. He has a new book, The Stories of From My Grandmother's Hands. It's a children's book.
Well, it's a book that's been out for a couple of years. Fantastic book, one of my favorite books ever. I recommend it to everybody, but he just turned it into a children's book.
That's right.
And he'll be at my 4th annual Mental Wealth Expo tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's right.
Marriott Marquis in Times Square.
And if you're in New York City, Nick Cannon's going to be at the Barclays tonight.
We going up.
That's right. So make sure you get your tickets. Wildin' Out will be hitting the Barclays. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Donkey Today is brought to you by the law office of Michael S. Lamonsoff. Don't be a donkey. Dial pound 250 on your cell and say the bull if you've been hurt in a construction accident. That's pound 250 from your cell and say the bull.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.